Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Chronicles of a Gooner. We're live. Good afternoon and welcome back to the Chronicles of a Gooner, the Arsenal podcast brought to you by the Last Man Standing with loserpool.com. As ever, I am your host, Harry Symeou, coming to you a little bit earlier than normal today, and that's because I've got a really exciting night lined up. I'm going down with some friends and some colleagues to a really exciting evening. It's a bit West Ham orientated, but I'm sure I'll be fine. It's an evening with Tony Cottee and Frank McAvenny. So if you keep up with me on social media, you'll see lots of pictures later on, I'm sure. Some exciting projects in the pipeline with some great people. So looking forward to a nice evening out as well, and evening out on the town. But the reason for today's podcast, and I thought about maybe not doing one today, if I'm honest. I thought about maybe giving it a miss, coming back to you guys tomorrow with the preview of the Manchester United game, where I'll be joined by the one and only Rodri Giggs, brother of Ryan Giggs, the one who made that fantastic advert with Paddy Power. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's a great advert, one of the best pieces of marketing I've ever seen. Absolute genius. Spoken to Rodri a few times on the Shoot the Defence podcast. He's a top gentleman, Manchester United fan, knows a lot about the club, knows a lot about the ongoings inside the club. So he'll be able to show some perspective to us as well, and hopefully assist me in delivering you guys with an excellent preview ahead of that big game on Monday night. But like I said, the reason for today's podcast is to talk about this captain's vote. Now, Rob Holding told some reporters after the game the other night that Arsenal had, still not found their permanent captain. And he said that Unai Emery has put the Arsenal captaincy to a secret ballot, with the players each putting forward their nominations for the positions up for grabs. The boss has said all summer that he'd like to have a small team who share the role. But up to this point, we've assumed it would be he and the coaching staff making the final decisions. Now, this news source is arsblog.news, which is a fantastic website. They've taken the information from goal.com, but Arsblog News is my go-to place for things like this. So I thought I'd come here to show you guys the page. So Rob Holding went on to speak about it. He said, we had a vote the other week, so we'll see what happens and who gets named. We had to write names down and then give them to the manager. He will go through them, obviously, with his input, and then we'll see what happens. He says, I don't know when the decision will be announced. I think it will be in the next couple of days or weeks. I have no idea. If I get it, then I'll be more than happy and honoured to do it. So far this season, Xhaka, Monreal, Ozil and Holding have all worn the armband. Lots of people against the appointment of Granit Xhaka, but, based on what we've seen, you've got to have him as a favourite for this position. People are talking about Aubameyang getting it. Fantastic player, leads by example. Is he quite a captain though? Does he have that captain's mentality? I don't know. I would have probably questioned that maybe 6 months ago, but he has led by example, scored some really important goals for Arsenal. And we're constantly hearing stories from the young players about what a huge help Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has been to them. And he's acting like a sort of mentor. And that's got to be a positive. Now, my feelings on this captain's vote, as I'm going to be calling it, let's calm down a minute, because I put a tweet out saying that I had mixed feelings about this, and of course, as usual, there are people that jump on every word and they want to find an excuse. And then when I sort of said I was on the fence about it, the first thing would be, well, Pep Guardiola done it. Well, Pep Guardiola's a completely different kettle of fish. Pep Guardiola is probably the best football manager on the planet, plays the most attractive football on the planet, has won everything there is to win in football. And for me, it is a league above Unai Emery. So just because Pep Guardiola done it doesn't mean A, that it's right, but doesn't mean B, that we can compare a decision Guardiola makes to a decision that Emery makes. It's two totally different managers at two totally different clubs in two totally different situations. So put that comparison aside. Here are my concerns about the captain's vote. Now, when you're asking a dressing room to vote for who they think will be the captain, there is a danger, and I'm not saying that this is always the case, but there is a danger that what this becomes is a popularity contest rather than a vote for the man who is most suitable to the role of captain. I would question why this far down the line in his Arsenal tenure, Unai Emery is unable to pick a captain by himself. Why has he not made this decision? And I'd also question why we are on the 26th of September. The season is well and truly underway, and we still don't know who the captain is. This should have been done in the summer. This should have been done in the summer. Now, unless he's going to give it to Kieran Tierney or David Luiz, you can't blame it on the transfers and that we were waiting for transfers. We knew that Koscielny was going. We knew that, Ramsey was going, that those were never in the picture. The only players that have come in towards the end of the deadline were David Luiz and Kieran Tierney. So, players that would be in with a shout, would be David Luiz and Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney's not going to get it. He's a kid. He's just come from Scotland. He's not ready. I am completely against giving the captaincy to someone who's just come in. David Luiz is an experienced player, but for me, he's not shown anything since he's come to Arsenal. If anything, he's been a liability. So I don't want to see him get it either. Now, like I said, my two concerns are, first of all, this becomes a popularity contest. And second of all, why is it taking so long? This should have been done and dusted, and all this uncertainty will be out of the way and Arsenal can look forward and build. But we've still got, whenever we try and move forward, we have some cloud hanging over us. If it's not a player leaving, it's this captaincy thing. Who's going to be the captain? Granit Xhaka's worn the armband lots of times this season. Mesut Ozil's worn the armband. Nacho Monreal has worn the armband. And Rob Holding was given it, albeit temporarily, for a short period of time the other night. So I have got concerns about this. And people say, at least whoever gets the captaincy will know that he has the backing of his players. To a degree, I think that's right. But I also think that whilst they'll know they have the backing, what if the decision is not unanimous? What if the decision is split? What if, 40% vote for one guy and 40% vote for 42% vote for another, or something like that? What if the split is right down the middle? That's where that person may not have all of the backing. I just think I want to see my manager take control of the situation and say, this guy is going to be my captain, and that's it. I don't want to hear 5 captains. I don't want to hear about vice captains and 3 or 4 of them. I want to hear about one captain, one vice captain. That's what I want. That's what I want as a fan. I don't know what you guys think. Maybe I'm just old school in that department. I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure about it. I'm not totally dead against it. I'm not sitting here going, he's a fucking idiot. What is he doing? But I'm on the fence about it. Like I tweeted earlier on, I'm not sure if this is a good idea. Let's come to some of your comments coming through live now. Big hello to everybody who's watching us live. And of course, to those tuning in later on. Vegard T says, good evening. Love your channel. Greetings from Norway. Welcome, mate. How are you? Thanks for tuning in. Brian Ruff says, Holding for captain. M Brooks _5 makes a good point. He says, I think this vote is Unai's way out of giving it to Xhaka. I think he has changed his mind. Possibly. But then you'd question why he gave it to Xhaka in the first place, wouldn't you? I don't know. It just seems like the season is rolling by us. And I know we're like, 5 games in, but it feels like this should have been done and dusted in the summer. The fact that we've gone into a season without having a captain, it's just absolutely mental. Demon Gooner, how you doing, mate? Welcome back. He says, we Arsenal fans are suffering from PTSD after the last 10 years. This is the last thing we need. Absolutely agree, mate. We just want to see some direction. We just want to be certain about certain things moving forward. I want some clarity. I want Arsenal to have a structure, an idea going forward. And I don't feel like we've got that at the moment. And this captaincy is just one thing in a long list of things that I'm not sure about at the moment. And I'm a bit concerned about. Fingers crossed this gets resolved ASAP. We find out who the captain is and we could just move on. And I've got this really strange feeling that it's going to be someone like Granit Xhaka and everybody's going to go absolutely apeshit about it and get onto Emery's back about it. And then that may be the decision that breaks the confidence in Unai Emery. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Wayne Wilson says, we need to stop blaming our defenders. The problem lies with the tactics set up by the coach. Our system would make the best defender in the world look bad. I don't disagree with you there, mate. Adam Moe says, Arsenal love complicating the captaincy. Just choose a player who can lead and performs well on the pitch. Rinat Sahab says, Bellerin or Mustafi. And Wayne Wilson says, Lacazette or Lewis. Some interesting choices. Let me know in the comments who you would like to see given the Arsenal captain's armband, or who are your five, because there's a good chance Unai Emery could go on and name five. I hope he doesn't, because I don't really agree with that, but we'll have to see what happens. In other news, Arsenal are set to face Liverpool in the Carabao Cup at Anfield. Oh, well, that lasted long, didn't it? It's probably the worst possible draw. That is probably on par with Man City away as being the two worst possible draws, and we've managed to get one. It's a great night out at Anfield for those who will be making the trip up there. You'd expect Liverpool to be slightly under strength. We will, of course, look to play some of those youngsters who I must say were really exciting to watch the other night. I had the pleasure of being in the press box the other night at the Emirates Stadium, and there was a buzz there. People were excited, genuinely excited to see these young players. And, there was talk that Freddie Ljungberg had a big influence on the team that night. Great. If he did, I'm all for it. Big fan of Freddie Ljungberg. Had the opportunity to speak to him last season at some of the under-23 games. He sounds like he's really got the buy-in of the young players, and he's very passionate about his job, and that's what you want to see. So I'm not totally against Ljungberg having more influence, and I think, dare I say it, one day he could be the Arsenal manager. There you go. But look, jokes aside, it's not the ideal draw, and if you have to predict, you're probably going to say that our Carabao Cup, I nearly called it the Carling Cup there, our Carabao Cup run could well be coming to an end, and if that's the case, then so be it. It's just one of those things, isn't it? Let's come back to some of your comments coming through live. Jordan Booman says, I think this may be a good time to do it right before Man United game at Old Trafford can give the new captain a boost and the team. So Jordan's, of course, talking about the captaincy, which is, of course, the main topic of today's podcast. And, it's a great point. Maybe it's a good time, but maybe it's not a good time as well, because, for me, if you're going to be a captain, you want to start at the beginning of the season fresh. And I just don't see how this first, couple of months it'll probably be by the time that this is resolved without a permanent captain has been helpful. Tommy says it has to be someone who plays every week, and I really don't think Emery knows his best team at the moment. Another great point. Adam Moe says we need to smash United at Old Trafford. Still angry about that 8-2. And Brooks says the problem of choosing a captain is the lack of players who are consistent enough to regularly start. All great points. Keep them coming. Some fantastic points coming through in the live chat. If you want to have your say and you're watching this video back on replay or listening to the podcast on replay, please do let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Just a short one today. As I said, I'm off out and I'll be back tomorrow around 5-6 p.m. in the evening, and we'll be looking ahead to that game against Manchester United at Old Trafford on Monday night. I'll be joined by Rodri Giggs, Ryan Giggs' brother, who famously made that fantastic Paddy Power advert where he was mocking Ryan. Brilliant stuff. Really, really enjoyed that. But I've spoken to Rodri on more than one occasion. He is a huge Manchester United fan. He knows the club as well as anybody, and he will surely provide some fantastic insight. So please tune into that one tomorrow. We'll be premiering it at around about 6 p.m. in the evening. So stay tuned. Until then, have a good evening, guys. And apologies that it's just a short one today, but I thought it was worth discussing this captain's vote, sharing my thoughts on it. Like I said, I'm on the fence about it. Let me know what you think about it too. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us your comments. We'll be back very, very soon. So until then, take care.